So a little bit about my story. From a young age, I always knew that I wanted to own my own business and run my own company, and wanted to be successful and create wealth. I had no idea what it was going to be, how I was going to do it. Clearly, I was an entrepreneur, but I didn't have any idea that there was such a noun for a person like me. I barely graduated high school and never went to college. My parents begged me desperately to go to college and said that they would pay if I attended. When I asked my father how much it cost, at the time it was about $100,000 for a 3-year college education. I had an idea as an entrepreneur. I said to my father, "Why don't you give me the money and I'll go into business?" And he replied, "Doesn't work that way." Clearly wasn't going to advance me the money to pursue my entrepreneurial dreams. So I proceeded to take several post-high school jobs in an effort to earn money to absorb as much information as I can. It wasn't about what I was going to earn, it was about what I was going to learn. And what I could learn by other business owners who were running their business and how they made their money. In 1982, 2 years after graduating high school, I started my first company. I established Flash Messenger Service. Flash was a courier company which delivered packages throughout the tri-state areas for lawyers and doctors in the medical field and the courthouses. I started the company with one employee, me, a van and a beeper. And most people in this room don't know what a beeper is. And I had a Rolodex. Not a Rolex, a Rolodex. It was prior to cell phones, it was prior to fax machines, it was prior to computers. They did not even exist. I sat at a desk and went through a friend's Rolodex and started calling his lawyer friends to drum up business. Everyone requested I send them information on my company, but I had none. So I proceeded to print up business cards, letterheads, envelopes, and started going door to door to lawyers and offices, dropping them off information, hopefully that they would call me and use my services. Upon one solicitation, I remember an office manager who came out of his office and wanted to meet me. It's a very major, large New Jersey law firm with over 250 lawyers. Coming out to greet me, he asked me, "So, how many drivers do you have?" I was like a deer in headlights. I had no idea how to answer him. I said, "Sir, as many as you need." Knowing all well it was me and a van and a beeper. But I knew that I needed to convince him that I could handle his business, and I did. I was awarded his business, and the phone started ringing overnight and off the hook. And now what? Now I had to service it. Then I started getting calls, which went to an answering service who beat me. I would have to find a payphone, hoping I would have enough change to make the call. Then the answering service would get me the message. I would call the lawyer back and see what they needed, and then I would go pick up the packages and deliver them myself. At some point, it became too much to handle. I started hiring drivers in their own cars to help me deliver the packages, and my business was growing. Now what? I grew to the point that I could no longer deliver the packages and had to sit and coordinate and dispatch these drivers to get them on the road to make sure the deliveries were getting done on time. Good news was my business was growing. The bad news was I needed to pay the drivers. I had no money. My company had no money. I had to bill the customers, and they did not pay me for 60 to 90 days. It's called receivables. Anyone who's taking a business class, it's called receivables. So I took the job, pumping gas. 7 a.m., 11 at night till 7 a.m. in the morning. $5 an hour in order to make money to cover payroll, to pay the employees. I would go from the gas station to home to take a shower, to the office to dispatch, sometimes till 7 p.m. I did this for several years until the company grew large enough and built up enough cash flow so that I could pay my employees. From 1982 to 1987, I grew the company to having over 50 drivers and servicing some of New Jersey's largest law firms. In 1987, I was approached by a group from Wall Street who was rolling up a bunch of courier companies, and they asked me if I would sell my company and come work for them. And after getting beat down for all of these years, I decided that maybe it was time to cash in the chips and go work for someone. And I did. But I wasn't happy with it. Because deep down inside, I wanted to run my own company. Within 1 year of the Wall Street roll-up, the company went bankrupt. I was sitting in my office and I received a call from a bank who asked me if I wanted to purchase my company back. I got out of my chair, in my car, and drove to New York City. I made a deal at the table and I bought the company back for 10 cents on the dollar. And I kept all the proceeds from the original sale. During that time, I took the proceeds from my sale and started investing in commercial real estate. I purchased medical buildings, office buildings, turned them around, stabilized them, getting the rents up, increased the value, and either refinanced them or sold them. I continued to run my courier company at some time in the late 80s when computers were just coming out and coming into vogue. There were, again, no fax machines, no computers as we know it today. They didn't exist. No one used email. No one used any of the things that we have today. I received a phone call from a computer company named Emdahl, who had mainframe computers the size of this room that would run companies like Citibank and American Express. And they asked me if I had a warehouse where I could store parts to deliver to computer companies and field engineers on site when they could be repaired, so they could be repaired when the computers were down. Because if the computers were down, it was costing the companies millions of dollars, because as they rolled out technology, they became reliant upon it, and it would create downtime. I said yes. I didn't have a warehouse. When they flew in from Texas to meet me, I drove them around with a realtor to show them multiple warehouses. They left. I drove them to the airport and they left. I thought I would never see them again. 1 week later, I received a phone call awarding me the business in the state of New Jersey. But they did bring up to me that you told me you had a warehouse and you didn't. And I said, that's because I knew if you gave me the business, I would get you one. You have to believe in the vision. Within a week, as I said, I was subsequently awarded the business. I opened up a warehouse in New Jersey, and over the next 2 to 3 years, I was awarded Depot of the Year for on-time performance and inventory accuracy in New Jersey. I hired an IT specialist who wrote me a computer software program who could manage the inventory and manage the location of the drivers out in the field. After receiving these awards, I realized there was another business opportunity. I could take this national. I incorporated a new company, Flash Global Logistics, and quickly assembled a team and got my first appointment with a company called Motorola. I pitched them to provide these services on a national basis around the country using my software system. Within a few months, I was awarded the business to support Motorola in 25 cities across the United States of America. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I dialed all of the other courier companies that I knew around the country and asked them if they can store parts the same way I received the call and deliver them to field engineers, and they said yes. I signed a contract to support Motorola in 25 cities around the country. Fast forward to 1987, I had grown Flash Global Logistics to over 200 domestic locations and 100 international locations, storing and delivering critical spare parts for medical and technology companies and supporting companies such as Motorola, GE, Cisco Systems, Siemens Medical, and America Online. In 1997, I was approached by another group of investors who was putting together a IPO, initial public offering on Wall Street, of logistics companies, and they wanted to buy my company. I struck an agreement and sold both companies for a second time. The night of the IPO, at 12 midnight, I received a call from the chairman of the purchasing company who advised me that upon the public offering, they were not going to have enough money to close the transaction. And that they would have to pay me 75% of the purchase price at the closing and the balance of the 25% within 12 months. I advised them, at the advice of counsel, that I would need to hold stock of the company in escrow, and that if they didn't pay me, I would have to take the stock back. Well, guess what happened? They didn't pay me. So 12 months later, I took the stock back again. The third time I owned the company. I redeemed 100% of the company back. Over the next 11 years, I grew the company globally to having 750 warehouses around the world, supporting medical and technology companies like Cisco Systems in 2 and 4 hour service on site with critical spare parts to all the field engineers. During the almost 20-year time period, I took the advice of my father, who told me I should be taking my profits and investing in real estate because business is not forever. Your innovation will only last as long as until somebody tries to compete with you and outdo you. So I continued to buy medical, residential, and office complexes and shopping centers. Within the 20-year time frame, I had bought and sold over 100 real estate properties using a tax law called the 1031 exchange. As an entrepreneur, as a business major, the tax laws are important because what it does is it allows you to use leverage. You'll be able to use the government's money that you should be paying in taxes to be able to reinvest your profits into future deals. So I rolled these profits, and then I started developing commercial properties from the ground up. In 2008, while I was doing this, and I was running the company for the third time, I was approached by a private equity group out of Cleveland, Ohio, who wanted to buy my companies there. So for the third time, I sold my company. I closed the transaction in 2008, 30 days before the Lehman Brothers crash, the financial crisis of 2008. From 2008 to 2011, I sat on my cash, managed my real estate portfolio, because it was impossible to finance anything. No bank would lend money to any entrepreneur, any business person. It was called the Great Recession.